Welcome to Crepe Myrtle Road. My name is Lisa. Today I am doing a thrift flip on a ceramic Christmas tree that didn't have such a good paint job, and I am sprucing it up and making it more my style. So just keep watching. I kind of got started with this project before I remembered I needed to film it. But this is that tree that I thrifted that, as y'all can see, the paint job was not so great. It had a chip up here. I didn't actually thrift this. It came from an antique store, but I only paid $40 for it. And it had all the bulbs. They weren't glued in. I already had the light kit there. And I took them all off, and I'm going to repaint it in this Dixie Belle kudzu. And then I'm probably going to do some dry brushing and maybe even some textured snow on the branches. But I'll just share as I go along. But right now, I'm just literally taking this brush because that point gets in all these little crevices really easily. And just getting a good paint coat of that on. I think one coat's probably going to be enough. I know on this, it doesn't look like it's completely covered. But with all the other, like dry brushing some other colors on, or, you know, shades of green or white on, I don't think I'm really going to need to put another coat of the green on. So we should be good for there. And y'all, this is my craft room. So it's a complete and utter mess. It's not a Pinterest-worthy one. It is a functional one. So just ignore the background here. Okay, this next step, I am taking this bare wax, and it is in the dark antique, and I got it from Home Depot, and it is definitely just a wax. And then I'm taking, y'all, and it's going to make this camera move because it's clipped to the table, and I'm just like, I brush on in sections. I'm trying to get it in all those little crevices, and I'm not putting it on like real thick, just kind of brushing it on there, as you can see, because there's a section I haven't done. And then I'm literally just taking a paper towel. This is one of those Viva brand that's kind of feels like cloth. And then I'm just going in and wiping off. And this is a personal preference, how much you want to wipe off. I have to be careful because right there, I kind of wiped a little bit harder. And that chalk paint underneath gets activated when it gets wet. So I have to be careful doing that because it will start showing that underneath. But I don't think I mind it because that just gives it a little bit extra color. See if I can get it to come off in a couple other places. But if not, I'm not too worried about it. That's around the back. But anyhow, I'm just going to do that. Now, one thing I might do before I paint the tree is I might actually spray a clear coat on it, a matte clear coat, to protect it so that once I want to do this, I don't have that happening with the green. I don't know. I'm just going to play it by ear. Okay, so I decided I'm not going to clear coat it first. I'm just going to not wipe with such a heavy hand. So I did this little section here, and you can see the slight difference in color versus where it's not waxed. And as long as I don't rub too hard, I mean, it's exposing a little bit of that green, but I'm going to be going over that with some white anyhow. So to save myself a step, I'm not going to do the clear coat first. I'm just going to put this wax on there, give it a few hours to dry, and then I'm going to come back and do a dry brushing technique to bring out even more of the detail. I'm almost through doing the tree, so you can see this is all finished. So it's really getting down into the grooves, back in those shadows and stuff. And then this is the unpainted. So I really like the way the detail comes out a little bit more with the wax. Okay, the next step I'm doing is called dry brush. And I'm literally just dipping my paint in, or my brush in the paint. You know, I'm trying to hold the camera and do this at the same time, and just dabbing it off. And then with the lightest of hands, like I'm just like barely brushing it. I'm just going in here and just like highlighting the high points. Sorry, y'all. Hard to do this and hold the camera at the same time. But see how it makes the individual branch looking details come out. And you can do this as heavy as you want or as light as you want. But it's just very simple. And I'm just on this, I'm just using some craft paint in a matte finish. So there is with the snow-like effect on it and without. I mean, I like it without too, but I like, let me get my thing back on here. I like it with bringing that out. And then I'm going to actually take some textured snow stuff. I'll have to show it to you when I find it, and like put it on the tips here to actually have a dimensional look to it. Okay, the next step I'm doing is I'm taking this snow text, and this is just like a kind of gritty stuff. And y'all, I have found the easiest way is for me to just take my fingers and just smear it on, because it's very crumbly and it's gonna fall down. You know, I pick up those pieces and I come back and put them back on it. And I'm just trying to get the very tips. And as you see, it's kind of, if it'll focus there, it just gives it that textured snow look. So I'm gonna do that all the way around. And then I will glue in my lights. Okay, here is finished with all the snow stuff on it. And as you can see, I didn't do it like extremely heavy. And then in places like this where I get that, I just poke it. I just take a little brush and poke, because it does dry kind of hard, but you could still poke it out even if you miss some and it dried. And there will be some of this that will continue to flake off. It will dry hard, but it is still, you know, even when it's dry, you can, you know, you got to be careful with it. You don't want to, like, big chunks sticking out, because you can knock those off easy. And like up here where it's a little bit thicker, that, if I'm not careful, that could be knocked off. But I'm going to leave it like that. And you wouldn't have to do the white dry brushing underneath that I did, but I just think it helps give it more dimension, and you don't have to use as much of this snow stuff. That's, you know, because if you didn't have the white dry brushing underneath, you're going to just have all the green, so you're going to see every little spot you put the snow, where right now it just kind of blends in. As you can see, I'm just hitting the tips in just certain areas, so it's not as noticeable that if it's not on a place, because the other white is there. So the next thing I'm going to do is start putting the lights on. Now, if you couldn't find this stuff, a couple of options you could do here. If you wanted this snowy look, you could get spackle putty, like you know, putty up holes in the walls, and just take your fingers and kind of do the same thing. You could get that same texture out of it. You could leave it like that. You could even sprinkle glitter over it if you like, you know, the looks of that. Or you could just take your paint and do a little bit heavier paint, like right on the tips, rather than the dry brushing. So there's a lot of techniques you could do. But that's what I've got. I'm going to put the lights on it, and I'm just going to be gluing those in with a hot glue gun. That's a very tedious job, sitting there making sure you get them all. And I didn't do the bottom because it's supposed to look more like a skirt. And you're not going to see the bottom where I put mine at anyhow. So you could paint that bottom a different color to look like an actual tree skirt. Because sometimes the bottoms are made to look like wood, like they're the base of the tree, and sometimes they're made to look like a skirt. Mine's made to look like a skirt, and I'm going to leave it that way. If anything, I might highlight it with some gold paint or something, but I will show you when I have this finished. Okay, here's what it looks like finished. Y'all, I absolutely love this. And see, I just left the base plain down there, you know, without the white on it. And look when I turn it on. It's so pretty. Let me see if I can turn my lights off overhead, and then you can kind of see how pretty it looks lit up. Oh, I can't wait to get it in with my other decor. And y'all will see that when I do my living room tour, it will be included in that in place. But that was amazing. And I just put all kinds of little bulbs and then put little birds on the ends that I had bought off of Amazon, I believe, a couple of years ago to finish up some other trees I had. But I think it turned out amazing. So much better than what it started out as. And I also wanted to mention, I got a new glue gun. This Ryobi has the battery pack. Works like a charm. I like that, not having a cord to mess with. The only thing is it does drip. You know, you have some glue guns that won't drip. This one does a little bit, so you have to keep something under it. And it had a lot of strings, like right here. Y'all, my hands are full of paint. But I learned a trick. My friend Kim from My Feather Nest had mentioned it to me when we were doing the little jewelry art. And I had heard it before, but I'd never really used it. But I took a heat gun and just blowed it all over it. So all them little bitty, look like a spider web all over this thing from the glue. That melted it away, I guess. I missed that one that I showed you. But yes, using a heat gun to get rid of all the little glue strings was the trick. But y'all, this is so pretty. This might be my favorite one yet. Love it. If you found a tree, this one was never glazed and fired. Whoever painted it before had just used like craft paint over it. But if you found one that had already been fired, that's the glaze, like the real shiny, and you didn't like the way it looks, you can buy a thing, let me grab it here. It's called Slick Stick by Dixie Belle. And this is something that's made to paint over a very glossy finish, like glass or metal. And you paint that on, and it's like a white primer almost when it goes on. And then you can go back and paint it with regular paint. That makes the paint be able to stick to that slick surface and not wipe off. You might could just take like a primer paint, spray paint, and paint it. And then go back and, you know, use like because most of your primers are a matte finish. And then go back and paint with your regular paint. But I know for sure the Slick Stick works. But that's how this turned out. And I'm absolutely loving it. And here it is displayed on top of my entertainment center with all my other trees. And I absolutely loved how it turned out. I hope y'all have a very blessed day and a Merry Christmas. Bye.